Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well in the COVID-19 era. Today we're going to discuss about how to make a digital marketing plan. We will do it with the help of a case study I did for Toyota in Greece. Today's agenda will be introduction, digital marketing plan design, situation analysis, Tesla analysis, smart goals, marketing strategy, specifically segmentation, targeting, positioning, also known as STP strategy, marketing plan, the media mix specifically, and last but not least, measurement and the questions and answers session. A little bit about me. My name is Nicholas. I work for Vodafone as a marketing technology specialist, Martech for short. I freelance as a digital marketing manager for Black Lantern Marketing. I also help businesses grow with my digital marketing strategy and consulting services. Last but not least, I upskill professionals in SEO and digital analytics. My hobbies are digital marketing. I consider myself one of the lucky few, actually, that my work is my hobby. And I also like music. I could not live without music, I must say. Movies, travel, cars, tennis, Netflix and chill, as you can see. So let's start. Digital marketing and plan design. A digital marketing plan are all the actions taken to inform, remind, or persuade the consumer or buyer, if you want, to make a buying move. In the end, that's all we care about, that the actual user does the purchase, whatever that means for our business. So, a marketing plan. These are the elements that we're going to talk about today. We have the situation analysis, where we are now, where do we want to go? So the SMART goals we said in the introduction, the actual strategy, how we're getting there, and the measurement in the end, how did we make it there? This is a bit of an overview. We have the mission statement in the beginning, that's where everything starts. We have the situation analysis, which is some research about the industry, and SWOT analysis, the pestle analysis. There are a lot of people who might argue that this part here would make part of the overall strategy or the traditional marketing plan, if you want. But I disagree because it's very important to know them, not maybe not be the one to actually draft them or create them, but it's very important to be aligned with the overall company strategy and keep those in mind in order for you to better understand the field, any limitations you might find. So it's very important to know them. We have the marketing goals, the marketing strategy we talked about, then the STP strategy, segmentation, targeting, and positioning, the actual marketing mix, the traditional 4Ps, if you have heard of them, product, place, promotion, and price. And last but not least, we have the implementation, the evaluation or measurement, as we said, and the control. And we're going to talk about budgeting as well, the campaign budget we would need to use in order to complete all this strategy effectively. So Toyota is our example today. As you can see, they have a mission, Toyota in the world, global vision, what they want to achieve on a global scale. Toyota is a big company. You don't have to be Toyota to reach the same levels, but them specifically, they have a specific vision that only Toyota can express it as they write it here. They have a little bit about the production system, the Toyota way, essentially building their own culture, way of thinking, and actually spreading the message to the world. So we're going to start with situation analysis. How to make the digital marketing plan. One of the elements, as we saw, is the situation analysis. Very important to keep it in mind, and everyone should start from here. A situation analysis comprises of some industry information, the industry size, some trends in the specific industry. Today we're going to talk about automotive, but it doesn't really matter. Everyone does for their own industry. Changes that you might find. Then some information, you must know some information about the actual company, the products that it sells, A little bit of history. The SWOT analysis, we're going to talk about it at a later slide. And Porter's five forces for this part. And then it's important to know your competition, the competition size, the threat level it poses to your business. Most importantly, you have to know your customer. If you don't know your customer, who are you going to sell to? Who are you going to communicate? Remember, we said that in the end, it is actual customer we want to sell to. So we have to know who are the decision makers. For example, if you have a family, the one who pays the bills, the bills in most cases, and the actual product user. So even though the decision maker might not be the one using the product, but you have to target them with a specific message and the product users with a different one. And last but not least, the environment. We're going to explain what the PESTLE analysis is. It's short for political, environmental, social, technology, law, environmental, and economical. And we're going to talk about the external environment. As many of you have seen, as all of you have seen actually, the external environment, like a crisis we're facing today with COVID-19, may, of course, affect your business. So the industry, a little bit about the automotive industry. It doesn't matter which country you are targeting or you want to target. If you have a little bit of an overview of the whole industry in most countries at least, it's good to know because you're going to have all the figures available and see which country or which actual place is more efficient to target. So it's good to do an analysis beforehand and see how all the markets on your industry are going, especially as we said in this era now with COVID-19. Then you need to know some actual information about your company. Here's funny, it's a Japanese yen, so it's a Japanese company, so it's normal. It's good to know some of your company's performance. Again, we don't have to go into a lot of detail. Maybe it's not possible because you can't communicate with the finance department, but at least to be able to have an overview of how the company is performing over the years in order to be able to identify a specific trend if you want. So the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis are the strengths, yes, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Here for Toyota specifically, we have a strong brand image, a global supply chain, a rapid innovation capabilities. They're very helpful to achieve your objective and originate internally from Toyota's work all over the years. We all know it as a company, so it's good to do a similar work and know your strengths. Then again, most importantly, maybe more important than strengths, know your weaknesses. In Toyota's case, there is a hierarchical organizational structure. They have secrecy in organizational culture between the departments, effects of product recalls in recent years due to specific issues. They are harmful towards your objective. Again, they originate internally. Usually, there are problems with the company itself. Then we have opportunities. On Toyota's case, we have growing markets in developing countries. We have rising demand for fuel-efficient automobiles. We've seen the Toyota Hybrid or other models from Toyota recently. There is a growing interest in advanced electronics in vehicles. We're seeing more and more technology over the years in all new cars. And also the Japanese yen is weak versus the US dollar, so it's an opportunity to sell to other countries. The opportunities usually arrive from the external factors, just like the threats. For Toyota, we have growing market presence of low-cost competitors, other maybe Chinese or even European and American companies. And we have a rapid innovation of competitors. We've seen Tesla, we've seen Volkswagen come with electric cars. We've seen other companies growing faster and faster. There are even rumors of Apple wanting to develop their own car. So Toyota has to keep that in mind. Not just Toyota, every company, as we said, on their own field they need to keep that in mind. Porter's five forces. Porter's five forces are the threat of new entry. How difficult it is for a new company to enter your industry. Let's say you're Toyota, and we have a competitor that wants to create a new company that wants to create a car. How easy is it for them to enter the industry? The threat of substitute products or services. Essentially, what other products do people use instead of cars? Like we've seen the electric scooters, motorbikes, taxis, walking, any means of transportation in our case. We have the bargaining power of buyers, so the actual buyers that buy the product, if they can buy it or not, depending on the situation and all the factors we discussed about and we're going to discuss again. And the bargaining power of suppliers, which is essentially all the parts you need, in this case to create a car. Do they actually hold any bargaining power? Do you have the upper hand? It's important to know it. And last but not least, rivalry among existing firms. As we said, it's a big threat for Toyota because of competitors always rising and innovating, like Tesla. So there is a lot of rivalry among existing firms. Even though Toyota holds a very large market share, they still need to have that in mind. The actual product, so you're going to sell Corolla hatchback, you're going to sell the drive hybrid, as we said, some innovation and maybe some eco-friendly mindset. Which product are you going to sell? You're going to sell all the products to everyone, and you're going to choose to specify which audience would purchase which car. You have to be very specific about which product you're going to sell. You can't sell everything to everyone, so you have to segment as you go. You have to know the competition. We said that Toyota might have a very big market share, 31%, followed by Volkswagen with 22, Ford with 15, Honda with 16, and Nissan with 16%. Still, even though Toyota has a very large market share, the other companies pose a threat. As we said, Volkswagen recently announced their new electric car. Ford is Ford; they're always innovating. So it's not okay for Toyota to they're going to say we did our work and it will sell itself. I mean, we have to be on top of their competition. The threat the company faces, the competition, as we said, there are a lot of low-cost automobiles from Korea, China, Indian manufacturers. Lots of these countries now they're producing their own cars, and they have been increasing their presence in foreign markets. And the traditional companies, General Motors, Honda, and Ford, they're innovating. Tesla as well. So it's a very big threat for Toyota, even though they have a new model. They have a new model out there. Then we said about the decision makers, essentially the person responsible in the family, the household, wherever, that decides if they're going to buy it or not. So yes or no for the product. Even though the product user might not be the actual decision maker, there are many cases where, for example, a parent buys a car for their children, a company buys cars for their sales personnel. You might buy a gift for someone. You have the money, why not? Many people do that, so it's not always the product user is the decision maker. The pestle analysis, as we said, is the its political environment, the economical environment, the social environment. We've seen a lot of turmoil in many countries like the US, the technological advancements in all countries. The technological advancements in all countries. We've seen many countries having a very technological upgrades. We've seen Singapore, we've seen other cities with very technological advancements and infrastructure. In Europe as well, we've seen Romania invest a lot in their technology, Poland, Estonia with their e-visa. So technology, it's always growing, and we need to keep that in mind. The actual environmental impact, it's always a sensitive matter. We've seen protests and protests about the environment, and hopefully companies We'll try to keep that in mind. Toyota has that in mind, hopefully. They're creating new electrical models to see to actually decrease their level of consumption of emissions. Sorry. And then we have the legal issues, which there are a lot of different legal issues. There is a framework in Europe for which hopefully not all the time applies in many countries, but still it doesn't mean that each country does not apply their own laws. It's much different in other countries in Asia, in America, which has in the US, which has an entirely different framework. So if you want to sell to a specific market, you need to keep that in mind as well. And then we have the external environment, as the pandemic we are all facing in the past 6 months, more or less. It's been 6 months, yes. The automotive industry has been hit. It has been hit a lot. As this article from the New York Times, a country hit harder than most of the other countries. They're saying that the pandemic will permanently change the automotive industry. Sales are going to plummet. There are a lot of companies, new companies that come through, mergers, and now other companies that sell electric cars, etc., are rising. We've talked about the situation analysis. We're going to talk about the SMART goals. It's always good to know where you are now. We need to know to formulate where we want to go. So the SMART goals, the word SMART derives from the acronyms of specific, what you want to do, measurable, which is provide a way to evaluate your goals, achievable, it must be within your scope, or your company scope, possible to accomplish as well. Relevant, it has to improve your business. We don't just set goals just to set them. There's no point. Time sensitive, be specific on your schedule. So SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time sensitive. A quick example, a bad example is increase sales, which is very generic. I mean, okay, increase sales, does it mean for our business? A more specific and better example would be to increase sales by 20% in the 12 months. It's time sensitive, achievable, measurable, where all the acronym of the smart word they are in here. It's very specific, not generic at all. As if you say you want to be a market leader, what does that mean? A market leader, we said that Toyota has a big market share. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that they're the leader. But if you say that 40% of market share by the end of the fiscal year, it's an improvement. For example, Toyota had 31. If they want to achieve 40 by the end of the fiscal year, it's an entirely different goal than this one. As it is improving your product, whereas if you say that 55% of my target group preferred my product in the last 3 months, is entirely different. Which elements did they prefer? Why did they prefer them? Do you need to change anything? Last but not least, maximize profit. It's very generic, but if you say increase profit by 30% in the next 6 months, is something entirely different. Now we're going to the actual strategy we're going to use. It's a very important, maybe the most important part. We're going to see some examples as well. We're going to start with segmentation. We will perform the STP strategy, so segmentation, targeting, and positioning. We are starting with segmentation. Segmentation based on demographic, geographic data, where are our customers, behavioral, how are they behaving, and psychographic, who are they, these people that we want to find and target. Demographic data are all this, the age, the gender, maybe some other characteristics of the area they live in, but usually we start with these two, age and gender. So we have different segmentations. Here is one, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, etc. We have geographic segmentation, so different countries, different cities, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Toyota can choose to go to wherever they want doesn't mean that they will succeed. So they have to be careful and see, based on their data, which country has, in which country they have better presence, or for the specific product they want to sell, a better presence. So countries, cities, areas, specific areas, etc. We have the psychographic data, interests, belief, values, opinions, personalities, and the actual the interests, like, I don't know, people that want to shop, that like media, that like technology, that might like Apple, or reading sports, or like booking, or different characteristics that comprise a person. So it's important to know them as much as you can, and categorize them specifically. And then we have behavioral, so essentially how your users are interacting with your business, and the assets of your business, whether it is a landing page on your website, your store. And then what are they doing? Are they going to the next page? Are they interacting with other pages? Are they going to your social media, to your application if you have it? Or are they leaving in the end? So it's important to know the flow of your users and see what they're doing out there, and how they are interacting with you. Targeting. We said it's the STP strategy, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. We're in the targeting part now. It's important to know your customer's profile. As we said before, the product and the customer are very important things to know. Which product you're going to sell to which customer. And based on the segmentation we did, we created the customer profile. So we have men, 25 to 55. They are travel lovers, so they go to booking very often. They are sports lovers. This is a sports website here in Greece. And they are tech lovers, so they are a fan of Apple. This is a customer profile, what you have in mind of your customer. It's called the target group, so it's important to know it in its case. Then the positioning from the STP strategy, the P, the last part. On Toyota, it's a product which is functional, based on product features and competitive advantage. Design, elegant modern design, and the experience, the unforgettable driving experience, the promise. Essentially, how you want your customer to think of you, which are the characteristics that they will have in mind when they think of Toyota Corolla. So I don't know, if you think about Apple, what are the first things that come in mind? If you think about Toyota, what are the first things that come in mind? Is it something you want? Are you appalled? Are you disgusted? It depends on what the company wants to implant, let's say, in a more relaxed way in your mind. And their promise, how they're going to achieve all that, is that their product is elegant. Based on their design, it's a high-performing car. They supposedly have a great engine, and they promise a driving experience with more power, impressive handling, and enhanced efficiency. This is an important tool. You might want to use it and know it. It's called the Perceptual Map. Essentially, based on two features, two characteristics. In our case, it's price and quality. So from left to right, it's low to higher price, and quality from low to high quality. Essentially, how the brand, as a brand, is situated as opposed to other companies. We have Volkswagen, which is considered a higher priced car, but with higher quality. Toyota has high quality as well, but it's cheaper. Alfa Romeo, which has um, the quality is less than Toyota's, is not that good, but the price is a little bit higher. That's how customers, the actual consumers, consider it. Then you have Ford, Fiat, Peugeot. You can use other brands as well, depending on your market. So if you do a perceptual mapping for China, you might have other models as well from China. Or if you want to target a market with electric cars, you're going to include the Tesla as well, if an electric car is your product to sell. Now we're going directly to the action. We finish with the situation, with the strategy. The first part of the strategy, we're going into the actions we're going to put form to achieve our goals. Is Toyota's digital marketing stack. They're using the CRM data, which is actually a depiction of their own customers. They're using a DMP, a data management platform, to gather all the data. They have a platform called Outshell for marketing automation, essentially automating all their messaging. On the left, they have their own channels, which they measure with analytics tools. They're using personalization for the customers. And on the right, we have the paid media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the data they gather from here. All data from each source is sent to the marketing automation platform, Outshell. And they're actually performing the decision making based on some rules they set in order to make their lives easier because they have a lot of data, and the data management platform to help them gather all the data and actually send it back and forth from one tool to the other, integrating their own channels, the third party channels, and their CRM, essentially creating a marketing ecosystem. It's called omni-channel campaign management, so it's hard to achieve that. It doesn't have to be on this scale every time, but it can be something smaller. But in Toyota's case, it's a very big ecosystem. So the funnel from campaigns are usually doing. We have all the funnel steps here on the right. We have awareness, which is the broadest part of the funnel. Then as we go down, it's narrower. We have the interests the consumer is showing towards your campaign, your brand. The consideration, so they are actually considering buying your product. The actual purchase, and the advocate. So in this case, we have a very simple funnel flow. We have a visit from a campaign, from a social media campaign, let's say. We have a marketing page. In Toyota's case, it leads to a test drive page. So from the marketing page to the test drive. Then they have to fill a form, and that is considered a lead for Toyota. And then in each step of the funnel, we create different audiences for different purposes, and then we use different actions in each case. We can also see the Y and N, yes and no, which is the happy path. So the consumer actually goes forward with this path. And the N, the no, is when they don't finish it. So we don't let them go. We'll find some other way to remarket them, whether we use our own site or paid media channels. Toyota did an awareness campaign for the new Toyota Corolla. This is about the hybrid mostly. They have some other models as well, but it was mostly focused on hybrid. This was their flag product. Their brand promise was very specific. It's in Greek, sorry for the Greek, but it was about the Greek market. So essentially, they are describing their brand promise, their product's features, the engines, and some other jibber jabber on how great the product is. And all this is formulating the brand promise. A little story maybe behind the product if you want. Okay. Moving forward, sorry, I think we're stuck now. We're going to see some more specific marketing channels Toyota is using. For their awareness campaign, they use YouTube a lot. They have for our own market size here. They have a lot of subscribers, which is great exposure for them. It allowed them to showcase their brand promise on YouTube using videos. They use Facebook. They have a lot of followers there, so it's a very big pool for them to use in their awareness campaign. They used Facebook for traffic as well. Basically, they used it for driving customers to their website to actually do a test drive. So they did a lot of posts, a lot of advertisements to bring their customers in and prompt them to book a test drive. Engagement as well, as we said in different funnel steps. The user interacts differently. Here is about actually doing a test drive. And the previous part was to just bring them to the marketing page. They did another Instagram awareness campaign as well. They showcased the product, all the brand promise features we saw. They did an engagement campaign, actually, again, prompting the user to book a test drive from the different posts they have using advertisements and organic posts. It doesn't matter if you are Toyota, if you can showcase your product, Instagram is a very useful and a great platform to use because you can showcase with pictures and videos, you can showcase your product. Then they did some email marketing. They provided the CTA. They wanted to make their model known to existing customers. As we said, with the data management platform and the marketing automation, we can communicate messages to our own customers as well. So they created email banners with information about their own product. They lasted around 3 months, and the existing customers where they're on their with a focus on those that had other models, older models, in order to prompt them to buy a new model. And in the end, if they don't, they're said that Toyota users are very loyal to the brand. They don't change easily, so they create a relationship with them. And then they wanted to prompt them to do a test drive. Again, they had the CTA. They want to increase test drive leads. They created personalized banners on their website, which prompt the users, eligible prospects. They directed them to the form. It's always on. It's an always on campaign. So if you go now, actually, on Toyota here in Greece, you will get this banner if you somehow engaged previously with the brand, prompting you to go to do the test drive. Some other example as well. This is the actual banner they're using on all the social media channels. As you've seen, most of the pictures and the CTAs are very clear. Here it's in Greek, but it says I'm interested. The car is more or less the same. You want it to get to be stuck in the customer's mind to actually remember it. The color red is a bright one as well, so it's a very good example. They used a lot of publishers. They wrote articles in publishers here in Greece. Current Driver is a very popular magazine here in Greece about cars. Ephemerida is a newspaper, an online newspaper. They did an article there as well. News Auto, some other publishers as well. It depends on the field. As we said before, in the interest part of our targets of our customers characteristics, we need to find publishers that relate to the actual customer, and they talk about our customers' interests. So if you're selling boats, you would need to actually find a publisher about boats. If you're selling iPhones, you would need to find publishers related to technology. And in this case, with our cars, News Author, they are all articles about cars in car newspapers. They did a gamification. It's called gamification. It actually prompts the user. It's more engaging. It prompts them to do something. They prompt the user to listen to the YouTube video song. They use Shazam. If you don't know, it is a very popular app. And they enter the competition to win a Toyota Corolla Hybrid. Other games as well. This is the images here are from a game called Watch Dogs, and they use the QR code. So if you went on and scanned this QR code here, as you were playing, you would enter the competition and to win a Toyota Corolla. And there was a thought about doing the same thing on other films. They didn't do it on Bandersnatch. It's an interactive film on Netflix. They didn't actually do it there, but some research showed that it would be a very possible and very elegant way to actually advertise a product. So in the film whenever a car goes by, if it has the QR code on. And if you're able to spot it inside the film, you scan it and get the chance to take the new Corolla Hybrid for test drive. Then we have the sales campaign. Last but not least, we said about awareness, about traffic. They have a sales campaign. Essentially, they're doing Google Ads. They are marketing based on the keywords the users are searching. And they have a very easy and elegant way to help you buy it online. And they communicate it a lot. So the sales campaign in the end is very important as well. It's not the only type of campaign that prompts a user, but it's the end point before they become from consideration to purchase. And the remarketing based on the customer's behavior. As we said before, the behavior's flow is very important. So if the user leaves your website, you can remarket them to them and communicate something to them again at a later stage, either when they visit a different website or when they come back to your own website. We're going to see some other audience ideas. As we said, we could use the visitors from organic search, from SEO. When they visit your own website, you could show them a very specific type of message. Or create audiences to retarget them on social media. You can see if they clicked on your test drive button or not. If they did, it's okay. If they didn't, you can retarget them on another page and show them. This is called the lightbox, which is a very specific type of messaging of content to display to your users. You can do it with different tools like Google Optimize. You can use heat map insights from different tools, see how their users are interacting, where they are clicking or if they're not clicking. You can do a reordering. This is called the fold. If your product is not above the fold in the red orange area here, it means that most users are not able to see it directly when they enter your website. So they would need to scroll down to see it because there are other models on top. So if you rearrange it, you would change position of your product and showcase it. Instead of showing the iGo, you would show your own product, Corolla hatchback, on a different order, so your users would be able to find it easier. And one last example is the abandoned form reminder. So let's say they did all the other actions. They found your form, they enter, but they didn't actually fill it. They entered here and they left. You're going to retarget them either on your own website or on paid media. You're going to show them a message and prompt them to actually fill the form and go back there. Maybe even give them an incentive, some more driving test time. It depends on every case. And as we saw, it's important to have a timetable of your actions based on each channels that you choose to target your customers. You need to have the type of campaign you're going to use each time, a specific time you want to run it. Here is in months. If it's a shorter campaign, you would have weeks, days, depends, and the different channels per campaign. So you have Facebook, Instagram, on-site personalization, email marketing, advertising, Google Ads, all the channels. And here we have the budget. It's the numbers are not the real numbers. They are fictional. You have to divide and conquer. You need to divide your budget among your channels. And if you use a formula, a budget calculator, even if your total budget is more or less than this one, you can always change it based on this percentage and say, okay, this is what the money I have to spend. I'm going to change it based on my spending on the campaign type on each month. Maybe some months I would be able to spend more money than the other ones, so you can always change it. It's very good to do trial and error. If you can do it, it's very important, and see how each channel performs over time. Last but not least, the measurement part. We did all the action, we did all the strategy, we found our customers, but did our actions have the effect we wanted, or didn't they? We're going to talk a little bit about analytics, a very brief. We don't have much time, so a very brief mention. In order to understand what analytics are, we need to take a step back and see that big tech companies like Google acquired Origin. That's how they created Google Analytics, Google's own product for analysis, for measurement. But as a methodology, it started much earlier. Henry Ford actually felt the need to measure his own assembly line in order to be able to see if all the actions were performing well or not. And so, what do they mean to any business? Analytics is any form of measurable data. There are many different analytics tools to measure your campaigns. There are Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, iTunes, if you have an application, or Google Play, in Google's Firebase. These are all digital analytics platforms. And it's most important to have data in mind. As my mentor and friend Costa says, analytics are the mind of the business. They whisper to us the behavior of the people visiting our website. So what is that sound? That they're whispering. I'm saying sound because everyone does not hear it. It's not the sound of silence, if you're wondering. It's an entirely different sound. What is that sound then? It depends on what you want to measure. As we said, this chapter is called measurement. So what do you want to measure? You want to measure demographics, as we said, interests, operating systems your customers are using, devices. You might see that a campaign is more effective on iPhones than on Androids. How much time do they spend on your page? Do they enter your website and leave, which is the bounce rate? How frequently do they come in? So it's important to have that in mind. I will upload an analytics glossary on my blog, so don't worry. As we said, we have different metrics to have them in mind. It is very important to put your metrics into concept. We have these metrics to measure performance, but a high bounce rate is bad when you have a marketing page with a CTA, as Toyota does. But if you have a website that predicts the weather, then the high bounce rate won't bother you. So in case of Toyota, it's bad to have a high bounce rate. As we said, we have all the interests, the geographical data, the demographic, the different devices. It's very important to know them. All the way down the funnel, from leads to sales to follow-up to conversion into actual sales. It's important to have them, whether it is booking a test drive for Toyota, or actually selling a product if you have an e-commerce website, for example, or creating leads to your company. You have to consider all the marketing channels. We gave some examples with Facebook, Instagram, but actually on the measurement part, you're going to be able to tell which actual platform, which social media or other marketing platform works for you. Is Facebook performing better? Are Google Ads performing better? Do I need to invest on SEO, on all the organic part? It's, as we said, it's trial and error. It's not always the same thing for every business. So you have to try them and see which one performs better. You're going to have to compare traffic if you have more than one website, or just the one with your domain on it. As we said, concept matters for different channels as well. So maybe users from Facebook are bouncing, but it doesn't mean that we didn't do a good ad. Maybe you didn't create a good ad, or Facebook is wrong for you, or the target audience you chose is very wrong. So again, you have to put everything into concept. Some metrics, as we said, are the unique visitors or users. Users, it's a more Google Analytics lingo. They are those who have initiated at least one session with your website. Visits is when they come in. Page views is how many pages they actually visited. Page average session duration, how much they stayed. Bounce rate, we covered it, so they come in and they leave. And then the frequency, which is usually the visits divided by visitors, so how many times each visitor comes in. We could show a quick example. I don't think we have much time and I want to burn you out. I did a webinar on analytics, or you can contact me directly, so don't worry around that. But it all comes down to how many times a user has come in. As we said, these are the top analytics tools. We have different tools to measure different things. We have Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Data Studio to create reports. We have Google Search Console for our organic traffic. We have Google Play if you have an application, and Hotjar for heat maps. As I said, there you can find the analytics webinar I did on YouTube. You will find it by typing this NMP Consulting Analytics Basics. I can send you the link actually if you give me just 1 second. I can send it here to you. Give me a second. I'll send it to you here as well if you can see it directly on the presentation. So keep it if you want and watch it and come back to me with questions. Last but not least, if you have any questions, you can address them now here on the chat. Otherwise, you can always contact me. You can find me on Facebook. Here is my email. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. There are many ways you can find me. Don't worry. There are many channels nowadays. We are always online, so there are plenty of ways to find me. And I'm also going to send you a feedback form. I hope you enjoyed our webinar today. If you can scan it, it's fine, but I'm going to send the URL to you as well. If you could send your feedback to me, it would be very useful to improve in the future. I'm going to send you an email as well. And I'm going to upload today's presentation on YouTube, so don't worry, you'll be able to find it. I will communicate it again at a later stage, so you can find it and come back to me with more questions if you have them. I would like to thank my sponsors, Black Lantern Marketing, the Field Show, AMT Consultants, and We4All for making this happen. And I hope they all had the same fun as I did organizing it. And I hope you all had fun. Thank you for today's webinar. Up next, we have SEO basics, keywords research. We did some other SEO. We did another SEO webinar, and I wrote some articles about SEO. You can find it on my website. Here is the URL. And the SEO basics keyword research, it's going to be on Thursday, 16th of July, 2020 at 8 EST. It's Greece time. And then we're going to have a break for the summer, and we'll be back in September with more materials, more articles than ever. Thank you again. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great afternoon with your loved ones, your friends, your family. Go enjoy a drink. Go everything that makes you happy and makes you actually bear this whole situation we're all facing. Thank you, everyone, and bye bye.